Do you think that you still struggle with that pressure to kind of like fit societal notions of like masculinity, or have you kind of like overcome that?
I'm more like it now.
I first learnt about gender and sort of that you don't have to be the gender that you were assigned at birth through TV.
But were you guys ever like taught about that in school? Because for me, like, it was man and woman. Like, there was nothing else.
I feel like it was quite recently I learned about kind of gender and social constructs within like my uni years. I feel like it's when I learned about it, because that's when I started to have friends who were non-gender conforming.
Has anyone ever asked you what your genitals are and why? Like, is it like why do people think that's acceptable? Because you wouldn't ask anyone else who is cisgender that question.
Or like if they've had a surgery yet, or like are they going to?
I'm trans, so already gender meant something different to me than what is like considered the norm. It wasn't until kind of my last year of school that I found out about that term actually outside of the classroom, that I then was like, wait, what is that? That's a thing?
We saw like years and years ago, well, I say years and years, not that long ago at all, basically in like the 90s and beyond, basically like the vilification of
And just like othering of gays.
the gay community and a lot of LGBT people, and I feel like now this is kind of having much of a resurgence with, for example, the trans community. I've read numerous articles kind of othering them and like basically calling them out as being weird when that's completely inappropriate.
When I was a child, I used to play with my sister's Bratz dolls. I think my parents used to say that's not for boys. So it used to be like my little secret thing, like going to my sister's room, play with Bratz dolls, while she was in my room playing with my action men. So it's very like, we switched around.
I do enjoy wearing heels sometimes. Like I am conventionally girly, and I remember always being told that like I didn't look gay or I didn't dress gay enough.
Literally in shops there is the man's side and the woman's side, and if you look like a woman, if you present like a woman, like, and you're going over to the man's side and you're trying on like a jacket or like men's jeans, it's like, it somehow feels wrong, but it shouldn't.
Gender is fluid is really important. It's something that like is, I feel at least on my social feeds and stuff, coming into like kind of the discourse more, but I feel like, for example, like teachers and stuff in schools and maybe like the older generation, I'm sorry guys, are just not clued up on it.
Categorising boys and girls as two separate genders, saying boys have to be into blue, they have to play with action men, and girls have to be into pink and play with Barbies. I don't think that's a good way of bringing up children.
Boys typically did rugby and football and girls did netball and lacrosse. And if anyone was to do anything other than that, I know that like certain girls that wanted to do football as well, lesbian.
I think subconsciously over the years, it was like in my head, I'm always thinking about how do I sound, how do I act in front of certain straight men, lowering the tone of my voice. It kind of was more like a protective thing in my eyes. It was sort of something I just naturally did.
I have been aware of like parents nowadays that are very like, I'm gonna let my child dress in boys' clothes even if they were born a woman, I'm letting them, and I just love it.
I think that it should be made clear from the get-go that gender is a spectrum. It should be sort of made clear that trans people exist, because there's so much like stigma and misinformation spread about trans people, and I think if we just kind of educated people on our existence and what that means for us, then people would kind of learn to be more tolerant and accepting.
I think as like a society we need to like move away from like gendering children, like the gender reveals. Oh yeah. Those are really cringy to watch.
Women can be plumbers, men can be ballet dancers, like do whatever, just do what makes you happy and explore yourself.
The more we open people's minds and have the discussion about it, which allows people to question things and ask questions and talk about it openly, the more we understand each other, the more accepting we're going to be.